got an early start. They're because you've got mojo. Virgin Holidays. Unleash your mojo.
Atmo protected.
In Forever Sports this month, explore the cult of Mario Balotelli, switch on to Formula E and even survive a shark attack. With sports, fitness, lifestyle and more, up your game with Forever Sports. Out now.
You're watching Sky Sports 5, your new home of European football.
Sponsored by Bet365.
"18 goals, 5 players sent off, injury time equalisers, a goal from a goalkeeper wrongly disallowed, a floodlight failure and a black cat on the Camp Nou pitch." The opening weekend in La Liga was thoroughly entertaining. Tonight, Lionel Messi lights up the Camp Nou once again in Luis Enrique's first game in charge. And a young star shines bright too as Munir scores on his senior debut. What a weekend. Athletic Bilbao were left bamboozled as goalkeeper Gorka Ariasos's injury time equaliser was chalked off. And what a night for little Eibar as they win their very first game in the top division. As Albert Ferrer's Cordoba prepared to take on the mighty Real Madrid this evening, we went to take a look at the time machine that predicted it would happen. Then it's to the Bernabeu and the Vallecas as the European and La Liga champions both kick off their campaigns, both aiming to get their hands on more silverware this season.
Gareth Bale lights up the Copa del Rey final. Real Madrid, Copa del Rey champions. Diego Godin lifts Atletico Madrid into pure football heaven. Sergio Ramos, unbelievable, in the nick of time. It's the 10th triumph for Real Madrid. No doubt about it, the city of Madrid, undeniably the footballing capital of the world. It's the Cristiano Ronaldo show in Cardiff.
The first trophy of the season goes to the trophy room of Atletico Madrid.
Yes, it's to the Bernabeu first as the champions of Europe prepare to take on Albert Ferrer's Cordoba side. Promoted last season, they'll have to hit the ground running tonight against Real Madrid's new Galacticos. Straight after that, we stay in the capital for Madrid derby as the champions of Spain travel to the Vallecas to take on neighbours Rayo Vallecano, who diced with relegation last season, but eventually finished 12th under Paco Gémez. And don't forget to guarantee you'll be able to watch all our live Spanish football throughout this season. Be sure to activate Sky Sports 5 now. Well, a glittering campaign for both Madrid sides last time out, and they've already picked up where they left off by securing pre-season Super Cup trophies. Guillaume, Graham and later Paco Agestanan join me this evening. Gents, welcome. OK, first up, let's take a look back at the Supercopa as the two big Madrid clubs did battle. 1-1 at the Bernabeu, 1-0 to Atletico at the Vicente Calderón. And let's face it, they fully deserved it over the two legs. Again, what kind of a statement did it send out, not just to their rivals, but for the rest of the season?
Just basically that they have started where they finished it last season. The same intensity without the ball, the same work, the same attitude for sure, the same tactics, everything else, even the same message. We're not favourites, we're not going to win anything at all this season, you should all know. That's what you're getting from Gavi, you're getting from Simeone. But certain variations that so far they have worked. Of course, they don't have Costa now. They've got in Mandzukic, a guy that's slower than Costa, but can still hold the ball. And they've got Griezmann, who adds the pace. So what Costa provided, pace and strength is now provided by two players. Griezmann has been growing, especially played very well in the second half of the second leg, starts understanding his role. But meanwhile, everybody's happy that Mandzukic scored, which he had only done by penalty before, and just generally that everything worked, apart from...
We'll come on to him a little bit later on. But Graham, Real just couldn't live with the intensity of Atletico in that start of the second leg in the way that Barcelona couldn't in the Champions League last season.
Well, you've said it perfectly, and you just take everything that Guillem's mentioned about Atletico and you reverse it. This has been a right bad week for Carlo Ancelotti. Okay, he wasn't out there playing. But he's lost Angel Di Maria. He plays in the second leg Varane, who has a really bad game and is culpable for the goal. Post-match, Sergio Ramos says, you know, we went out there a little bit dopey, a little bit sleepy. Me, first of all, but all of us. How's that possible? How is it possible in a Madrid derby, when there's a trophy at stake? Contrast that with Simeone in the first leg. When Atletico last went to the Bernabeu, it was a cup tie, and they got pummeled. They got all the luck went to Madrid. They got physically pummeled, so he sent them out in the first leg of the Super Cup saying, you know, basically cut us between the teeth, get out there and get your retaliation in first. In every way, in sporting, psychologically, over the two legs, Real wanted it less. I would ask, how's that feasible?
There's criticisms about the players that he chose. So in the first leg, it's now like a universal consensus that if you want to beat Atletico Madrid, you need to play between the lines, if you've got the quality to do so. Because they close so well, and the lines are together, there's hardly no gaps. You need the talent to actually open up those gaps. But instead he leaves James on the bench. Cristiano Ronaldo starts, who is not properly fit, and we'll get into that later, and had to be replaced at half-time. On the second leg, again, Cristiano comes on in the second half for Kroos, who was the best midfielder. And then Isco replaces James, who for an hour had a really good game. So everybody's putting things together. Ancelotti's actually making a lot of mistakes. But the only thing to say about Ancelotti is it's almost like automatic that Real Madrid will start slowly the season, because every year they'll be like, Khedira, Di Maria, they'll be very good, but we want to get rid of them. And then Di Maria gets sold, and Khedira almost gets sold. So he's got to reinvent the side. He started very slowly last season, very slowly, and look what happened at the end. So it's almost bound to happen that Real Madrid are going to start slow this season too.
Were question marks asked about Carlo Ancelotti, the side that he picked, the substitutions he made? And Ronaldo, what's happening here?
The first thing is, Ancelotti, as you know, is a gent. He did make mistakes. It wasn't a good week for him. He was the first to say, what Guillem said there, you know, I made mistakes. You know, we were worse after my substitutions.
I did love his answer, though. He said, I'd rather lose tonight than in Lisbon.
Fair enough. It buys you a headline. It buys you some time. It won't play well with Florentino Perez, who had to stand there on the balcony, you know, chewing a wasp and clapping at Atletico as they lifted the cup at the same time. He doesn't like doing that. I think that... we are not being condemnatory of Ancelotti for Varane playing, you know, as a pro footballer. So, chicken or egg. Varane was rusty because he hasn't been playing. So if you play him, he gets some time. But he was immediately dropped again, and he did make a horrible mistake. I think that the question marks must be more about the team planning. Rodriguez was bought knowing that he wouldn't play in the front three position to start with if the front three are fit, and he must play in midfield. This lack of balance, this inability to work and press as hard as Di Maria is something that's been imposed on Ancelotti. So if you're going to start asking questions, you would ask it about the sports planning, about the presidential priorities, but of the players too. If there's one thing that's characterised them since the Mourinho final year, it's these perpetual questions from inside the club about how much do you want it, how hard are you working for each other, and they showed it, I think, in the last two-thirds of last season that they were up for it. But what's happened to the collective mentality, irrespective of Ancelotti, that they can go into two Madrid derbies with another one right round the corner in the Liga and want it less? That's a strange phenomenon.
Well, you don't see a problem with that, the philosophy, though, do you?
I don't see a problem at all with the philosophy. What is football about? Isn't it about show business, about big stars, about buying illusion and hope every year, about talent, about financially being sound so you can get big stars?
About winning trophies, about getting the right players to win trophies, but
about winning
performing
trophies
well?
And about getting players. And is a model, is a business model. Is it ideal? No, because sometimes the treatment of the people and we go to Di Maria, for instance, it's not ideal. Khedira as well, having given what they've given for the side. But the model, I don't see anything wrong with it.
Okay, interesting. I personally do. That's what the game's about, opinions. Let's talk about Diego Simeone now, shall we? I mean, what's happening with him? He got sent off in the game. Of course, he got sent off and went crazy in the last game in the Champions League. He's admitted the pressure's getting to him. He's been banned now, hasn't he?
Is it pressure, or is it something that goes with the territory? Is the kind of personality he's got. And even though in the press conference he looks this very calm guy, actually, he wouldn't have been on the bench tonight because he had 5 yellows from last season. And he was asked about it and in the press conference, and he said, actually, it was 2 against Barcelona, 2 against Real Madrid, 1 against Malaga, but I was sent off against Real Madrid twice. What's going on? As in trying to blame somebody.
I've never known a coach to get 5 yellow cards in a season.
Exactly. But anyway, he's been banned for 8 games because of what he did in the Super Cup. 4 for, how do you call this thing when you actually hit somebody like that in the neck?
Normally ouch.
Slapping on the back of the head.
Slapping on the back of the head.
Yeah.
Twice to the linesman. That's 4. That's a serious offence, which means that those 4 apply for the league. And then he's 2 more for protesting, 1 more for clapping, and 1 more for standing behind the bench, having been sent off and having been told you cannot be there. Which is quite generous, actually, because he's kind of went like, I don't care, I'm going to stay here. But those 4 apply in the Super Cup, so, you know.
I remember talking last season about how surprised I was about this vice-like control Simeone had on his decision-making, never being tired, never leaving out the wrong player, never snapping either to the media or to on the pitch, because he's a wolf as a competitor. And therefore, I think that we're getting closer to seeing the real Simeone now, and I don't mean that in an ugly way, but we have to bear in mind, not only was it a Madrid derby, but humiliated in the Cup, pummeled 5-0, humiliated in Lisbon, and the need for him to impose himself, his need for the players to impose themselves and for their decisions to go his way, led to what I think will be a blip, because I think he's learned as a manager that control brings you trophies. I'm guessing that we'll see less of this.
Yeah, and he said, listen, it's my fault and I'll take whatever comes. And now we know he's got 4 matches in La Liga and 4 matches in the Super Cup, which I'm not quite sure how long that's going to go on for. But anyway, while there's obviously a downside to Diego Simeone, there's no doubt about it since he's got to the club, and that's less than 3 years ago. He has brought something special, as well as bringing major trophies. The Europa League, UEFA Super Cup, the Copa del Rey, La Liga, and the Spanish Super Cup. So, listen, he's got the press, certainly the Madrid press, he's certainly got the players, and he's got his own little hierarchy behind him, but he just needs to be careful not to overstep the mark. What's this about him perhaps being sounded out by a certain big Premier League club in the summer?
Well, there is a strategy in his career, a clear strategy. He knows Italian, and he's learning English since last season. He wants to go next to either the Premier League or to Serie A, and to a big club. He was sounded out by Manchester United this summer, and he didn't entertain the idea because his English is not perfect, and also because perhaps it's not the right moment. Atletico Madrid want to convince him that he stays until they move to the next stadium in a year and a half. But we will see if he'll be that long. The club doesn't know. He hasn't given his word that he will, but it's quite clear that he wants to go to the biggest club possible next.
Interesting. OK, Simeone didn't go to Manchester United this summer, but someone did, of course. He's on his way, Angel Di Maria. These were the scenes arriving in Manchester. And it's interesting about how you broke the deal itself, Guillaume, about how it's definitely sorted. There's different reports and different people are saying different things in terms of the price. What exactly is the price?
I've been told it's 80 million euros, which is 63.9 million pounds, which gets divided into 75 million euros fixed and 5 adds on. It will be a 5-year deal, it seems, and he's happy with the money he's going to earn as well, which apparently matches at least what PSG were offering, which was 8 million euros net. His entourage is saying now that as soon as they found out that Manchester United were in the equation, there was no PSG or anybody else. They just wanted to go to Manchester United. Well, maybe, but it was quite clear that Cristiano Ronaldo played a part, that they're going to give him the number 7, and a series of things that bring back the love that he certainly didn't have at Real Madrid.
He was a massive player at Real Madrid, played an integral part in what they won last season. I'm sure Carlo Ancelotti didn't want him to go. I'm definitely sure the players didn't want him to go. So How does this affect Carlo Ancelotti in terms of the perception with the players?
I think that we know that football dressing rooms are like a swimming pool with a drop of blood in it. If you let a shark in, it'll go straight for the blood. The players will sniff blood with Ancelotti. He's let himself down. A week ago, he was vital. After a brilliant season, maybe player of the season. A week ago, he was vital to bring on against Atletico Madrid. The crowd loved it. He changed the game. He made Madrid far more threatening. This week, because Florentino Perez and Jose Angel Sanchez said to the manager, stop encouraging everybody, we need to get him out the door. Suddenly, Ancelotti revealed that Di Maria had asked to leave because he wasn't being given the wage rise he thought he deserved. Secondly, he was dropped from the Friday squad to play Atletico in the return match, and the expression was, I don't need him. I think that players will naturally look at manager and say, OK, he turned out for you, he played in midfield for you, he even adapted the football that he was giving you at 25, 26 and learned a new trick, and this is how you treat him. I think it's been a bad week for his relationship with his squad.
I'm sorry to see him go, but I think he'll be a bit too much money for me, but I think he'll be a big success in the Premier League. OK, let's move on to Barcelona now, shall we? Luis Enrique won his first game in charge at the Camp Nou. He must have been happy as well with the performance as they beat Elche 3-0. Practically every box ticked. Goals scored, none conceded, good debuts, a youngster scoring, Lionel Messi seemingly back to his best, although of course with respect to Elche, it is only Elche. The only disappointment was Javier Mascherano getting sent off, and yet they seem to be even stronger in the second half. What have we seen about Luis Enrique just within these 90 minutes that's different from the Barcelona of last season?
It's so difficult to change this Barcelona because there's so many players, him being one for certain, that belong to an era where they play the way they play, with a high defensive line, with a lot of possession, with positional game. But you saw things like you can see there, you can see how the two forwards with Messi were coming inside, staying inside most of the time, where it was the full-backs who actually were playing almost like a wingers, and they're waiting for the ball instead of appearing from deep. How, in theory, midfielders should come on more into the box. And it wasn't the perfect display of all that, but you could see those new things that he's trying. Not the perfect display because they lacked work without the ball. They needed to run more in behind the defence. They needed perhaps to insist on the pressure high, which has returned. But the signs are very, very positive. And of course, you've got the likes of Munir scoring as well. And as you said, it was just the perfect evening.
I thought they were very hard work. And Luis Enrique himself wasn't the most gifted of players, but he got to the top through hard work. And are we going to be seeing that throughout the season as well?
First of all, I dare you to say that to his face. Secondly, absolutely, most certainly, you'll see pressing, you'll see work off the ball. I think you'll see an augmentation of what James pointed out, that there were moments when maybe there wasn't enough creativity, work between the lines, off the ball movement. He is satisfied, but not completely so. I think undoubtedly once fitness comes in, you'll see pressing right across the match. He wants the ball won as high up as Pep Guardiola ever did, not simply so that they can conserve energy, but so that players like Messi, for example, can profit from a team that thinks it's got a respite, maybe breaks the lines a little bit, and if, as Busquets did, you feed Messi, there's more space. And that's why you'll see higher and higher and more concentrated pressing.
You take Rafinha and Munir from that team, and it's Neymar and Luis Suarez. Perhaps it's not the best way to use Rafinha, but it's certainly how those two will play, and I think because of those two, he's already making the side to play with those automatisms. It all starts with Messi. It all starts through how we can get the best out of Messi. So he gets, again, next to the box, as you can see here. Everything goes through him. He's got players that will help him, both with the 1-2s and with those runs in behind the defence. And then, like, you get Messi putting those passes in, and you get a very recognisable Barcelona. So, all in all, perhaps there was too much of a funnel effect. Everything went far too much through the centre, and it was a little bit too predictable because of that, the lack of movement without the ball, and the distribution of the ball wasn't fast enough, and the full-backs need to also run in behind the defence. So they need to still work at it, but the signs are positive.
A word on Munir as well, the youngster. It looks as if he's a typical Barcelona academy player, and both Madrid clubs actually let him slip through the net.
And don't they love him all the more for that? As a very young kid, 12, 13, he had a trial for Atletico Madrid, and they just weren't sure. It's as simple as that. They didn't say, no, thank you very much, and he slipped through their net. When he was scoring freely over 100 goals in a couple of seasons for Majadahonda, Both Real Madrid and Barcelona saw him. He lived at least 2.5 hours per day by car, total journey from Madrid. If he wasn't going to get in their academy residences, they didn't seem to have a place for him. He wanted to go and be part of a football club. Barcelona said, into La Masia's residences, we'll have you. Seems to have been quite a good move.
That seems to be doing pretty well at the moment. OK, a good start to the season for Barcelona after what was a very poor one, of course. No major trophy since 2008 in a single season, which means they've spent a lot of money in the summer, which works out to just under £130 million, half of that spent on Luis Suarez. And they have some big questions to ask themselves. I'm sure they're doing that right now over the next 7 days because of the transfer ban that's been upheld up to now.
I don't know if you said that they're asking those questions right now, because you know that Bertomeu Zubizarreta and Luis Enrique are actually having lunch, a long lunch, apparently still at it. So they are discussing, yes, the fact that there's 2 transfer windows that they won't be able to sign for now, because they're going to go to CAS, and they think that, well, they will appeal. They think they may just be heard. It looks like it will be 2 transfer window bans, in which case the decision is, do we go for Cuadrado and spend the money that we want, if Fiorentina allows to negotiate it, 40, 50 million, or do we just keep what we have, those signings that we made, thinking, because some of them young players, and add the youngsters in the side. And with that, that's a big decision, because the logic would say, the historical logic would say, let's use the kids that are there, if they really trust them. So we'll see how much of them we're going to see.
Are the youngsters good enough, Graham?
They will be if they're given time. That's the crucial factor, time and faith. They won't instantly take over. There are no Messis, but yes, good enough if they're backed.
OK, both the Madrid clubs are playing later. Barcelona got off to a very good win, and coming up after the break, we'll see, we still can't work out why Gorka's goal was disallowed. Athletic were left baffled too as Malaga took all 3 points at La Rosaleda. And what a night for newly promoted Eibar, their first ever game in La Liga, and they kicked off with a stunning goal and a superb win.
Sponsored by Bet365.
At Oak Furnitureland, we're feeling really good about our bank holiday sale. You'll love this solid oak coffee table, now just $2.79. Oak Furnitureland.
I wanna knock on wood.
Every meerkat should know where he's come from. This is your home, Oleg. Africa. Look, Oleg, there, next to Ostrich is the striped pajama horse. And there we see... Oh, Sergei. And of course, your ancestors would come to this very watering hole. Oleg! I already have! Little baby Oleg is learning about his home. For your limited edition Safari Oleg toy, buy insurance or switch the energy to comparethemarket.com. Simples!
I'm Wayne Instraw. I go to Bedford Academy. I'm 16 years old. I got involved with the Living for a Sport project. My mum had the goal attitude. She really believed in me. Said, you can do it, Wayne, you can learn to swim. I had a massive fear of the water. I just thought, give it a shot, what could go wrong? Definitely, I've gained confidence from swimming, and if I've overcome that fear, I can overcome other fears and other obstacles in life.
Sky Sports, your home of sport. Whenever you want, wherever you are.
Sponsored by Bet365.
Coming up at 9, we have the La Liga champions and Supercopa holders Atletico Madrid at Rayo Vallecano. But before then, the Champions League and UEFA Super Cup holders Real Madrid kick off their Champions campaign at the home to newly promoted Cordoba. Real will want to get a defeat to Atletico of the Super Copa out of their system with a very good win. The Bernabeu will demand that. Paco, great to see you. How are you, okay?
Well, even better now.
OK, listen, let's move on anyway, shall we? Let's look back at more games from week 1, starting with Sevilla against Valencia. 1-1 it was between the two sides. Paco, these two teams are perhaps wanting to finish in 4th position. What did you make of both of them in the opening game of the season?
I think Valencia had the control of the game. I saw them a lot better than Seville. I think Seville is going to miss Rakitic and Facio, but especially Rakitic, because I think they have not a game in the middle at the moment, and only Baca is the player that probably can make the difference in this team. And Valencia, I think they have really signed really good players. I think they are in the moment to rebuild the team, but with this connection with Argentina through Fabián Ayala, that is on the scouting department now in Valencia, and the connection with Portugal, obvious, with Mendes.
And Mendes.
Especially with Mendes. I think they have signed a great centre-back in Otamendi, a great midfielder in André Gómez, and good striker in Rodrigo. In this case, I think is going to be probably the one that is going to fight not just for the 1st place, and maybe for Champions League spot.
Graham, another red card in this game. It seems to be a battle between these two, doesn't it?
It does. The majority, 5 in 5 seasons, all for Valencia, all in Nervión, and 4 of them direct reds. Interestingly, Valencia are playing this card about what the referees have got in for us. Look at our record there. They're going to ask for the red card to be rescinded. That was Rodrigo de Paul's debut. The words of Vidal after, saying, listen, I didn't see it as intentional. Seemed to be rather hopeful, but it is very, very niggly between the two of them now, you're right.
What's happening with Enzo Perez at Benfica, and why are Jonas Vieira and Postiga training on their own?
Well, basically because they don't want it, and they reckon they are going to a different level where Jonas, for instance, doesn't belong to. And in the case of Enzo, he was out of the Benfica squad, and he belongs to Peter Lim, basically. So it is up to him what he wants to do with the player. It's 25 million that Benfica will accept for him, and Valencia is willing to pay it. So I think it's just a matter of days.
With Sevilla, you talked about missing Rakitic, Paco. What about Denis Suarez? What about De La Feo? Are they players that perhaps could fill in and do extremely well for them?
They will need time. They will need time, and I think the gap of Rakitic is going to be huge. It's going to be too big, because we can see, for example, now in Barcelona, that no one expected maybe at the beginning that Rakitic could be a Barcelona type of player. But last week, when I was watching the Gamper, I asked to someone close to Barcelona, and my question was, what he does bad? He does everything well. He's a player that is technically good enough. He's able to play on in between the lines. He's able to keep the ball. He's good to play counter-attack. He covers plenty of ground. I think he's a player that is going to be missed in Seville a lot.
Sevilla finished 5th. It may be difficult, certainly from Paco's point of view, that they can maybe go one place higher in the Champions League. They won the Europa League. Unai Emery is a passionate guy, and do we see the tale of 2 different personalities with Emery and De La Feo?
At the moment, Unai Emery thinks the best way to treat De La Feo is about this. So it's about waking him up. It's about telling him, actually, give me passion, give me things that he doesn't seem to show. De La Feo for him is pure talent, if you like. And he thinks that that's all he is, pure talent. So give him the ball. And he doesn't have the ball, there is no game going on. It happened at Everton, and I think Unai Emery has got the information, and I've seen him in training. It will happen at Sevilla unless he wakes up. That was a wake-up call, that was.
Good player, but no Lionel Messi.
No.
OK, amazing game at Malaga as they beat Athletic Bilbao by a 1-0. And Athletic must still be wondering just how they didn't get, at the very least, the draw. Penalty shouts, a perfectly good goal disallowed. Let's start with Malaga first, though. When you look Malaga, Paco, what did you make of them?
I think it's going to be a team that is going to be a struggle this year. I don't think it's going to be mid-table. I can see them maybe close to relegation.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think the continuity of the team is going to be enough to keep the level they have in the past years.
What about Athletic?
Athletic is continuity with Valverde playing at the same level, 4-3-3. The question is, they will miss Ander Herrera or not? This is one of the questions. But now that they are playing with Iturraspe, Rico and Susaeta in the middle, Susaeta was a winger. Now they are trying to set him in the middle of the park.
Beñat as well.
Beñat as well, but Beñat sometimes is playing as a second striker or even in the wing. And none of them has the same timing of Ander Herrera, but Athletic Bilbao has quality enough to fight for Champions League stuff.
Is there perhaps an over-reliance on Aduriz as well, Graham?
Okay. We talked about this a little bit last week, and if you watch the way that they miss chances here, Guillermo, I don't think, well, it hasn't proven to me that he's got the ability to give you 15, 16, 17 goals, which would be needed, number one, if they're going to finish fourth again, to compete with Paco's Valencia, as he's been describing them. If Aduriz is injured or suspended, and Borja Viguera, who they bought from Alaves, doesn't seem to be catching, at the moment, the favour of Valverde. And I do think that it's patently clear that there are goals from Munain, maybe the Marcos. There are people around the squad who'll give you 3, 4 and 5. But yes, over the piece, it's how they compensate for the fact that they've just got one principal top-level striker in Aduriz. Big challenge.
Do we think they'll get to the group stages of the Champions League?
Yes. I think Napoli think they will too. In the first game they dominated it, and no harm to Rafa. And I think that Athletic at home, with a full crowd behind them, have the ability to win that.
Paco?
If they're able to keep the control in the last minutes, because in the last game, I think they were on the top of the game, in the middle of the game. They have, Nápoles was on the top at the beginning and at the end of the game. And I think the crowd could be really important on this game.
Can they not both qualify?
They deserve to. Well, they should be, shouldn't they? Big
shame that they meet there, yeah. And they just got something missing, this Athletic, like we were saying, the creativity. Sometimes you need that extra thing. And Beñat is not adding it. Unai Lopez is still too young for it, so maybe Napoli to go through.
OK, we'll see. I'm still going for Athletic. OK, amazing game we saw at Malaga. Amazing results at Eibar. They won their first ever game in the top flights of La Liga 2 seasons ago. They were in the third tier, and not only did they win, they did it against local rivals Real Sociedad. A great goal. Set piece from Javi Lara won the game. Just how did they win? Was it more about passion and determination?
First, really well-organised team. 4-4-2, really tight, pressing really well. On a pitch that is going to be difficult for everybody, probably is 62 meters the width of the pitch. Difficult to play from the middle. If you don't go there with concentration, with intensity, and with a clear idea that probably is being really difficult to play from the middle, many teams are going to be a struggle there.
Naeem said that, didn't he? He said that going to a place where, to be fair, they actually make sure they get extra seating in to get still under 6,000. It's almost a mentality thing for the big clubs. And
you will tell us better as players that really affects you, it seems. So you're saying that sometimes you walk into these pitches thinking, right, pre-season game, and then you get beaten. But the story is wonderful. We keep insisting on it, but it's 10,000. They needed money to stay in the first division. 10,000 shareholders from all over the world, from 50 different countries, put money so they could stay in the first division. 27,000 people live in Eibar, and they've got a stadium of 5,600 seats. So the whole thing is amazing. But Real Sociedad, keep an eye on Arrasate.
Go on, his future.
Because he's actually changed the team, and they've got a lot of players coming inside, playing inside, Granero and Canales and Xavi Prieto, but it's not working. And let's see what happens in the Europa League, because a lot of people within the club and fans are doubting that his future will be there.
Do you worry for Real Sociedad and Arrasate?
No worry, because they've got enough quality to don't be a struggle during the season. but I cannot see them fighting for European position.
Champions League position you're talking about?
No Champions League, even not the European League.
Really?
Yeah. I saw them one game this year, and I think, as Guillem said, they got problems to build the game. They have quality from the middle, but they don't break through the lines. Too many movements that they have, for me, not too much sense, like Markel Vergara dropping back in between the centre backs, but too often. And I think they have to clarify what they want.
And they miss Antoine Griezmann as well, of course. OK, don't forget, we're building up to 2 big games later as both Madrid sides kick off their league campaigns. But coming up after the break, we head to Cordoba to catch up with Albert Ferrer and find out exactly how they predicted their promotion to the big time.
Sponsored by Bet365.
Don't blend in. Mocha from Vauxhall.
Delicious new recipe bases. Maybe I cook tonight.
This is good, Sophia. Maybe you cook every night, huh?
When's the yacht told me your day?
I got friends, I got family here.
In Forever Sports this month, explore the cult of Mario Balotelli, switch on to Formula E and even survive a shark attack. With sports, fitness, lifestyle and more, up your game with Forever Sports. Out now.
Drive a Vauxhall Mocha.
Baby, I stand up.
From only £199 per month and just $3,784 down. From Vauxhall.
Sky Sports, your home of sport. Whenever you want, wherever you are.
Sponsored by Bet365.
4 more games to look back on now and some great goals to watch out for.
Celta didn't win a home match last season till the end of November. But the way they started here with Alex Lopez and their new man Larrave striking the woodwork inside 3 minutes suggested the Getafe keeper would be in for a busy night. And that was the way it turned out, because midway through the first half, following a typically slick move down the right, Nolito, from the tightest of angles, put away Celta's first goal of the campaign. Carrying on where he left off last season, 8 goals now in his last 7 games. And Celta continued to ask all the questions. Lopez on the end of another Larrave knockdown, striking the bar for a second time. The home side seemed first to every ball, and Oriana, not surprisingly, doubled the lead, as Celta headed for a 5th win in their last 6 games. Neat finish, but arguably we hadn't yet seen the goal of the match. Lafita bursting away from inside his own half before stylishly putting Samir in to cut the deficit. The Brazilian's first since arriving back in January. But Celta's new man Larrave didn't take quite so long to register for his club. Signed on a free from Rio, he restored the 2-goal cushion and wrapped up the points just 70 minutes into his Celta debut.
Villarreal took the points and the bragging rights from this derby at Levante, who were relieved when Denis Cheryshev's header hit the bar. Cherysev's joined the Yellow Submarine on loan from Real Madrid. In the second half, some slick play from Marcelino's men allowed Uche to get the better of Issam Adua, and last season's top scorer got his first goal of this campaign. Defeat left Levante boss Jose Mendilibar admitting he's worried about how easy his team made it for the visitors. Cherysev's loan at Sevilla last term was blighted by a knee injury that he picked up on his debut. His first Villarreal outing went much better. The Russian made it 2-0 with his first La Liga goal to seal the victory.
Deportivo had the best away record in the Segunda Division last season, and they made an excellent start here in their first game back in La Liga. New signing from Benfica, Ivan Caballero, celebrating after 20 minutes. But it was the home fans who were cheering after the break. Former Blackburn midfielder Ruben Rachina zipping the ball to the corner. Hard to argue with a finish like that, but Granada's winner from central defender Babam. Another new capture, should have been defended a whole lot better. Deportivo will need to sharpen up at the back.
This match certainly wasn't short on incidents. Espanyol were denied the lead by some diligent defending from Toma Hemed, who cleared Diego Colotto's strike. And Aitar Bia Saudi's Espanyol debut. His foul on Edgar was his second offence, and the summer arrival, who was also sent off on his last match for Rayo Vallecano, left his new teammates a man light for an hour of this match. Edgar played a key role in Almeria taking the lead. After Espanyol sat off him, he was able to pick out Fernando Soriano, who scored their first goal of the campaign. And it was party time in Almeria, both in and out of the stadium. Because the celebrations at a nearby fiesta proved to be too much for the local electricity supply, which couldn't cope. Eventually, after a delay of 9 minutes, play was able to resume. And in the 4th minute of added time, Sergio Garcia grabbed an equaliser for Sergio Gonzalez's 10 men. But going back to last term, it's now 9 games without a victory for an Espanyol side, delighted to have started this campaign unbeaten.
Yeah, interesting week one we've had so far. Let's hope the rest of the season carries on in that fashion. Paco, Celta got a very good win, of course, without Luis Enrique. What's expected for them, do you think, this season?
I think I saw them really well. I think they keep the style. They are able to combine. They are playing quite accomplished football. And they've got Larribey in front, a player that is able to keep the ball, allow the midfielders to run forward. And dynamic is quality players in Nolito and Orellana in the middle. I think I can see them close to the European League positions, or at least mid-table without any problem.
Okay, that's quite promising. Eduardo Berizzo.
Who's followed the same line as Luis Enrique. Basically, the team, you don't look at the bench and you think like this is still Luis Enrique because there's still pressure high, there's still a lot of pace up front, and Nolito renewing his contract too. What you've got is a team that will do a lot of damage. Yeah.
We'll see Cordoba soon, of course. Eibar got a very good win. Deportivo, it's a far cry from the Deportivo of old, isn't it? It's just about staying up this season.
It clearly is. I think this time they showed that Victor's methods are beginning to be understood, but they looked raw. There are too many players who weren't competitive for the full 90 minutes. That won't be allowed, not simply because of his discipline, but because they have so few resources. They all have to play above themselves. It was a bad loss to an experienced and well-made team. Not a disaster. I don't think we give up on them quite yet.
No. As for Villarreal, a very good win as well, and they look very impressive. You know, 12 months ago, it looked as if, wow, this is a team that's just been promoted. Can they get the top 4? Well, they couldn't. Can they this time?
They can be close, for sure. Still is early days. You know, we know that the table doesn't take shape until middle of November or December, but I saw them clear, playing at the same high tempo that they played last year, really vertical, but not playing direct game, and many players running behind the defenders and with clever passes to Giovanni Santos, and we could see in the first 10-15 minutes they had 4 or 5 clear chances of scoring.
It is going to be difficult balancing La Liga and the Europa League, and I think they'll do quite well there. But they've bought well, and they look like they've got a deeper squad this season.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And it was wonderful to watch and being detailed by Naim, who had been there for a few days and had spoken to Marcelino. And yesterday he was telling us, you know, look at Trigueros, look at Bruno, look at what they're doing, how modern they are as midfielders, centre midfielders. One goes, the other one stays, but it's not always the same one, and it's not always at the same time that they decide things. It's just absolutely wonderful to watch. And Marcelino is almost a fan of his own team, and not because of what he's doing with the team, possibly that as well, but because of the quality of the players that's got in his hands. Canny as well, he enjoys watching his team when it works well. Normally they don't start well the season, they did last season, but if they do then they fail. Halfway through the season it looks like they've got enough to actually keep it going all season.
Yeah, great story, fingers crossed they will. OK, well, it certainly is a baptism of fire for Albert Ferrer's newly promoted Cordoba side tonight, but it shouldn't have come as any surprise.
Well, last season it was like a promotion to get some season ticket holders, and the club just, or the chairman just bought like a capsule time machine, something like that.
Soy Carlos González, vuestro modesto presidente. Os quiero decir que el año que viene estaremos en primera, os lo aseguro. Y para que sepáis cuál es esa sensación, hemos creado esta máquina del tiempo. Os invito a que vengáis a verla al nuevo Arcángel.
Viaje Califa temporal iniciado. Agárrese fuerte. Podrá sufrir fuertes emociones en el recorrido.
You get into the time machine and you see a big screen, and in that screen the club show some newspapers on some moments of the following season.
Este año sí, señores, este año es el año del Córdoba Club de Fútbol.
Espectacular el ambiente que se está viviendo hoy en el nuevo Arcángel.
Parón invernal, se acabó la primera vuelta y el Córdoba acaba como líder de la categoría de plata.
At the beginning when it did it, the people didn't really believe.
Jornada 41 de Liga. ¡Vamos, vamos, vamos, Córdoba!
Sueñen, señores, sueñen, porque esto se hace realidad.
You see the video, and you see Córdoba just promote to first division.
Se va del central, balón arriba, por encima del portero.
¡Gol del Córdoba! ¡Gol del Córdoba! ¡Lo tenemos! ¡El Córdoba es de primera división!
But what happens is that we got it, and it was unbelievable.
El Córdoba Club de Fútbol es hoy equipo de primera división.
The chairman, he wants to get a target and he goes for it.
Y lo ha hecho gracias a una temporada en la que un equipo de guerreros demostró al mundo que con sudor y sangre todo es posible.
When he first bought the club 3 seasons ago, he said that in 3 years Córdoba will be in primera división. So he got it as well.
Cordobesistas, ya nadie os robará este momento. 42 años habéis tardado en recuperar el lugar que esta afición merece. ¡Vamos! ¡Que toda España escuche cómo ruge Córdoba! ¡Somos de primera!
He's a very optimistic person. He likes big challenges, and that helps as well.
¡Viva Córdoba!
Absolutely fantastic. I wonder where he got that from. Is that still working, Ian?
Well, he bought it. I don't know where he bought it from. It's in the stadium, but it's in a very bad state. So my theory is that once you use it once, it shall destroy itself.
OK. Still need to know where he got it from. Now, listen to Albert for the last couple of seasons. It's clear he knows what he's talking about. I believe he'll be a good coach. He needs to be a lucky one as well to be successful, and he's been quite lucky to get into this position, hasn't he?
In a way, yes, because, of course, it's a team that did not project to be in the first division. It doesn't matter what you see in that video. They didn't have the facilities. They don't have the money, really. They've got 15 players, new players, cost 0. So it will be one of those struggling, but as you say, they were 7th. They got into the playoffs. Finally, they get into the playoffs final. They are like a minute away from being knocked out, and a minute away from being knocked out, the whole thing stops. Invasion of the pitch. The game stops for 7 minutes. When they come back, there's a free kick for Cordoba, and they score. It's the 1-1 that qualifies them to get to the first division. So it was spectacular, and you can see that it made Chappie very happy, but the day after he was worrying what was coming.
That's Chappie for you. OK, the teams are in for today's game, which of course is Real Madrid against Cordoba. We have Rayo Vallecano against Atletico Madrid up at 9 o'clock. The big decision, Iker Casillas is in goal. He's ahead of Keylor Navas. Normally, Carlo Ancelotti has said he wants to go with a 4-3-3 formation. Against Cordoba, he might change that. James Rodriguez is in, and Cristiano Ronaldo, despite his injury problems, does start his 250th game for Real Madrid. He scored just the 254 goals so far. Incredible. As for Cordoba, well, as Guillaume said, 15 new players Albert Ferrer has brought in the summer, but didn't spend a penny. 7 of the 11 will be making La Liga debuts, and I'm sure they'll probably be asking for shirts after the game as well. Paco, he said in pre-match that the team are in good form, they're mentally strong. They're not in great form. They didn't have a great pre-season. They even lost to third-tier side Lucena. They're going to need to be mentally strong tonight, aren't they?
Of course, and especially with so many players making their debut against Real Madrid, a team that are not playing well neither, but is Real Madrid, and you know that the quality they've got all throughout of the team and the squad, they can damage you at any time.
How do you see them viewing not just tonight but this season, Graham?
Well, the first thing that Chappie said about tonight was that he genuinely hoped that Real Madrid might have left some of their energy on the pitch in the Madrid derby on Friday. For that reason, I guess what we've seen is Ancelotti changing the side up to try and reintroduce that energy, to try and supersede, to try and roll Cordoba over. I think that patently what he's got to do is, number one, make all the home games extraordinarily difficult, replicate all the effect you were talking about Eibar. It has to be difficult and scary to go there. And secondly, he was a very high-quality player who played in extremely important clubs. And I think that, given that there isn't a budget, he may, mid-season, have to ask other clubs, if you've got a player who you like to be playing instead of sitting on the bench, this is the place, you know I'll coach them well, we need him. And I think that halfway through the season, those intelligent types of phone calls to ex-colleagues, Luis Enrique, for example, might be a smart way to go.
This was the case, for example, of Eibar many years ago. Many years ago, Eibar, they were quite comfortable as a second team of the province, but they had many players on loan, like Xabi Alonso or Notre Dame. David Silva played for Eibar and could be the option for Cordoba.
Graham, thank you very much for your time. Enjoyed your company as ever. We'll see you soon. OK, not long now until kick-off in the Bernabeu. Can Cordoba cause a shock, or will Carlo Ancelotti's star-studded side prove just too strong?
Bale with a shot. Oh, wow, what a goal. Benzema! James Rodriguez. Meriting Sergio